Welcome students. I hope you are all keeping well at home and staying safe at home. So let's continue with the chapter 2, self and personality. In the previous video of the same chapter, you learned about what is self, various concepts of self, self-esteem, self-efficacy, and you also learned about self as a subject and self as an object. Today, we will be continuing with major approaches to the study of personality, that is type approach and trait approach. So let's continue. Personality. So the term personality has derived from the Latin word persona, the mask used by actors in Roman theaters. So after putting on the mask, audience expected the person to perform a role in a particular manner. So for a layman person, the term personality or for them personality means when they see someone or find someone attractive, they say that the person has charming or impressive personality. So, but this notion of personality is not correct. In psychological term, personality refers to or unique and relatively stable qualities that characterize an individual's behavior across different situations over a period of time. So let us try to understand this definition by one example. If you have ever attended a wedding, let's say after 5 years, you will find this to be an extremely interesting experience. You will come across many familiar faces and even those who were familiar but now cannot be recognized at all. So almost everyone changes physically, yet underneath these changes you will still be able to recognize them easily. The popular Jack may be 50 pounds overweight, but he will still display the familiar touch of arrogance that made him popular in the first place. So from this example, you can find out four main features of personality. That is dynamic. Dynamic means changeable. So it is dynamic in the sense that some of its features or some of the features of the personality may change due to internal or external situational demands. That means just to adapt to the society. Next is stable. The characteristics of the personality always we only consider those personality patterns or behavioral patterns which remains for a long period of time. For example, an honest person will is more likely to remain honest irrespective of time or situations. Next is uniqueness. Uniqueness means the response pattern or the behavioral pattern of an individual always is something unique which makes him or her different from others. And the last one is it has both physical and psychological components, means physical components of personality like action, posture, body build, and the psychological components of personality like opinions, attitude, intelligence, etc. So in psychology, psychologists have described a number of theories or given number of approaches to describe or explain personality. So first is type approach. The type approach is in this the theorists have explained personality on the basis of physique and temperament. So the first typology of personality based on four fluid or humor given by the Greek physician Hippocrates. According to them, there are four types of fluid. There are four types of fluid in our body. First is sanguine, that is blood. Second is phlegmatic, which means and the third is melancholic, which means black bile, and last one is choleric, which means yellow bile. So these are the four types of personality. The most and the temperamental characteristics associated with these four humors are, for sanguine, the temperamental characteristics are cheerful, light-hearted, happy, hopeful, etc. So if if in my body the sanguine is dominant, then I will be cheerful, light-hearted, happy, hopeful, and etc. If choleric is more dominant in my body, then I will be irritable, angry, and ambitious. So if phlegmatic is more dominant in my body, then I will be cold, calm, slow, indifferent. If melancholic is more dominant or is more in quantity, then I will be depressed, dejected, sad, pessimistic, etc. Charak, the father of Indian medicine, in his book Charak Samhita, gave a humoral classification of personality, that is Prakriti, during 200 BC. These humors were wind, that is Vat, bile, that is Pith, and phlegm, that is Kapha, which constitute three dosha Prakriti. There is also a typology of personality on the basis of three guns. Um, that is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva gun includes attributes like cleanliness, truthfulness, detachment, discipline, etc. Rajas gun includes intensive activity, desire for sense gratification, dissatisfaction, envy for others, and a materialistic mentality. Tamas gun characteristics are anger, arrogance, depression, laziness, feeling of helplessness, etc. So all the three guns are present in each and every person in different degree. So the dominance of one or the other gun may lead to a particular type of behavior. Next personality type is given by Sheldon. So the types are endomorphic, mesomorphic, and ectomorphic. So the types are given or they are these types are described by using body build and temperament as the main basis. So the ectomorphs are fat, soft, and round in their body build, and they are mostly relaxed and sociable. Mesomorphic types are rectangular and strong body build. Temperament features are energetic and courageous. Then the ectomorphs are thin, long, and fragile. Fragile means not very strong or vulnerable, we can say. So the temperamental features are brainy, artistic, and introvert. So next type of personality given by Carl Jung are, according to him, there are two types of personality, that is extroverts and introverts. So extroverts are people, they are very open, sociable, and socially assertive, oriented towards the people and the external world, whereas introverts are withdrawn and often shy, and they tend to focus on themselves, on their own thoughts and feelings. So according to Jung, everyone has the capacity for both attitudes, but only one becomes dominant in the personality. The dominant attitude then tends to direct the person's behavior and consciousness. So the non-dominant attitudes remain influential, however, and becomes part of the personal unconscious, where it can affect behavior. For example, in certain situations, an introvert person may display characteristics of extraversion, wish to be more outgoing, or to be attracted to an extrovert. In recent years, Friedman and Rosenman have classified individuals into two categories, type A and type B personalities. So the two researchers were trying to identify psychosocial risk factors involved when they discovered these types. People characterized by type A personality seems to possess high motivation, lack patience. You must have seen people who always be in a great hurry or feel short of time and feel like being always burdened with work. So such type of people come in the category of type A, and these type of people find it very difficult to get themselves relaxed and slow down. So they are the people with type A personality are more vulnerable to the problems like hypertension and coronary heart diseases. So they are at a risk of developing blood pressure, high cholesterol levels, or smoking. So the another type of personality is type B. That means the absence of type A traits. Next, Morris has suggested a type, he further extended the typology given by Friedman and Rosenman. So according to him, or he has given two types of personality, type C and type D. So according to him, type C personality, which is more prone to cancer, and the characteristics of the people belong to this personality type are cooperative, unassertive, and patient. They mostly suppress their negative emotions like anger, aggression, and show more compliance to authority. That means they follow their commands and orders. Next personality is type D personality, which is more prone to depression. So actually these personality typologies are usually very appealing but are too simple. Human behavior is very complex and variable. So assigning people to a particular personality type is difficult because all people do not fit into one type of category only. So that's all. So you need to learn all the attributes belong to a particular category. From the exam point of view, these all attributes should be on your tips. So that's all about type approaches. Now we have trait approach. So the basic difference between the type approaches and the trait approaches is that type approach classify human personality on the basis of the body build and the temperament, and the trait approaches classify human personality on the basis of the specific psychological attributes like shyness, extroverts, emotionally stable, emotionally unstable, and so on. So trait approach, for example, one person may be less shy whereas another person may be more, or one person may be less friendly whereas another person may be more. So here shyness and friendliness represent traits along which individual can be rated in terms of the degree of presence or absence of the concerned behavioral quality or trait. So traits are the building blocks of personality, and trait approach is very similar to our common experience in everyday life. For example, when we come to know that a person is sociable, we assume that he or she will not only be cooperative, friendly, and helping, but also engage in behavior that involve other social components. So thus trait approach attempts to identify primary characteristics of a people. A trait is considered as an approach to personality that seeks to identify the basic traits necessary to describe personality. So, to summarize, traits are relatively stable over time, consistent across situation, and their strength and combination may vary across individual, leading to individual differences in personality. So now we have first trait theory given by Gordon L. Potts. So he categorized traits into three levels: cardinal traits, central traits, and secondary traits. So cardinal traits are those attributes of our personality which are more dominant or which are dominant in individuals' whole life. For example, like Hitler's cardinal trait is Hitler's. Mahatma Gandhi's cardinal trait is non-violence. So uh, the persons specifically known for these traits. Now next is central traits. Central traits are those characteristics or those attributes which are the foundation of our personality, though they are not as dominating as the cardinal traits, but they can be used or they may be used to describe another personality. For example, intelligence, honest, shy, anxious are central traits. The third trait is secondary traits. So these traits are often appear in a certain situation or very rarely, or can occur in some circumstances only. For example, in being impatient while waiting in line, getting anxious when speaking to a group. So that's all about Gordon Allport's trait theory. So next trait approach is given by Raymond Cattell. He applied a statistical method called factor analysis to find out number of traits and to find out the correlation and the variability between numbers of factors. So he talked about two types of traits, so source trait and surface traits. So according to him, the source traits are stable and building blocks of the personality, and they are less visible to the another person and appear to underlie several different aspects of the behavior. They are inferred from behavior basically. For example, dominance and emotionality are source trait. So another is surface traits. So the traits which are very obvious and can be easily identified by other people. That means they can be easily recognized by overt manifestation of behavior, uh, um, like curiosity, integrity, honesty, dependability. So these are the example of surface traits. So besides, he also developed a test called 16 personality factor questionnaire. So the 16 personality factors are given on the screen. So that's all about Raymond Cattell trait approach. The next theory that come under trait approaches is Einstein's three-factor theory. According to him, personality could be reduced into three broad dimensions, and the dimensions are introversion versus extroversion, neuroticism versus emotionally stability, psychoticism versus sociability. So according to him, neuroticism versus emotional stability refers to the degree to which people have control over their feelings. At one extreme of the dimension, we have people who are neurotic, and those neurotic means those who are anxious, moody, touchy, restless, and quickly lose control. At the other end or extreme are people who are calm, even tempered, reliable, and remain under control. Next is extroversion versus introversion. So it again, the people who are socially outgoing versus socially withdrawn. So at one extreme are those who are active, gregarious, impulsive, and thrill seeking. At the other end or other extreme are people who are passive, quiet, cautious, and reserved. So the last one is psychoticism versus sociability. A person who scores high on psychoticism dimension tend to be hostile, egocentric, and antisocial. So he also developed a test called Einstein Personality Questionnaire, used for studying these three dimensions of personality. The first two dimensions are the dimensions of a normal personality, and the third one is the characteristics of a psychoticism personality or of the psychotic people or persons. So that's all about trait approaches. So the most promising empirical approach to the study of personality is given by Paul Costa and Robert McRae. They have examined all possible personality traits, and their findings indicate a set of 5 factors. They are often called Big Five Factor or the 5 factor model of personality. So these 5 factors includes, you can remember these names or these dimensions by the word ocean. O stands for openness to experience, C stands for conscientiousness, E stands for extroversion, A stands for agreeableness, and N stands for neuroticism. It has been found useful in understanding the personality profile of people across cultures and irrespective of different languages.